What's going on, everybody? It's David Palmer, the Leo King, and I am here with my Uncut Astrology going into the week of January 28th all the way until next week, about February 3rd. And I've been talking about this energy being very all over the place, and it can be sometimes very confusing. And of course, Mercury retrogrades always get the whole, confusing aspect of things. But when you add so much potent energy in Pisces and having Neptune there, you can start to see what the driftiness really is about. And Mars being here as well takes our strength and our ambition and really points it towards these great fantasies, these dreams, these places that we tend to drift. But unfortunately, it also can inhibit the ability to get them done fully, or, so it's almost like we know what we want, we're yearning for these powerful things, but actually the reality catching up to it seems to slow down, seems to take much more time with this Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. But during this period, we are going to have Mercury and the Sun make a conjunction. So there's a lot of clarity coming this week, and a very unique direction, especially because when Mercury is in Aquarius, it tends to go in a really weird look. It's one thing about Mercury is it loves to pick up all the facts. It loves to look at things very specifically. And in Aquarius, it loves it because it can look at all the dots. It can look at mass amounts of, really weird data. It's almost like going into Area 51 and being able to look through all the files. So you're going to get views of the world you've never seen before. But when it's retrograde, it's a lot of information that's coming at you at multiple different angles, and sometimes it could be too much. Sometimes you might not be able to handle all the information that's coming at you, and what do you do with it? What do you do with it? Especially when Mars is in Pisces on top of Chiron this week, there comes this understanding of, well, this is where I fail. This is where I don't know how to go with the flow. This is where I'm sensitive. Mars on Chiron is not a very easy position, because if you were born with Mars on Chiron, there's a masculine issue. There's a hard aspect of truly, getting what you want, pushing through all the way, winning. And so in all of us, we question whether or not we can do it. We question if the process will work. We question whether or not we have the strength to take care of things. So this is being highlighted extremely this week, especially into this weekend as we're brewing for a full moon in Leo. So there's a lot of energy that's brewing here, and it's intense. And the main one I want to talk about, and we've been talking about it a little bit, is this Saturn square Neptune, which Venus has entered here, and so there's a Venus square Saturn aspect as well. But really, this is Pisces square Sagittarius. This is where, are we aiming in the right direction? Are we fantasizing in the right places? This is also where the reality is starting to dissolve, because when Saturn runs into Neptune, it's almost like all the mud turns into water, and there's no more, real earth to create anymore. So there's a lot of pressure on our lives right now, but the positive of the pressure is that it's a wide open field. And there's a lot to be looked at in your life now. There's also a lot of pause, though. There's a lot of pause. There's a lot of like, whoa, look at all these possibilities. Yet, can you really, take action and get them? You can. But I think what the lesson is right now is to make sure that you're really sure. Make sure that you're really aware. Because when you dip this much energy into Pisces, especially Venus, which loves to be in Pisces, it loves to be here because it's, a natural home of positivity through, release and surrender and true, compassion. So Venus does well here. But unfortunately, it's coming up with a square to Saturn, which is like, before you can be so compassionate, make sure you're even, opening the right door. Because Sagittarius to me is doorways. Some people think it's truth. I think Scorpio is more truth. I think Sag is where we we know what we want so deeply inside that we start to aim in a direction. We start to believe, we have to believe that we can go there. But this tests if you truly even believe that this is the right path for you. You know, you're having to face your own subconscious, you know, fears and doubts while the doors are wide open, which is kind of crazy because we always wish we can make it to a place like this, you know, in our egos. But then when you actually get there, you know, it's almost like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if this is what I want. I don't know if this is exactly the way it's supposed to be. So it actually puts a lot of pressure on people. And the pressure comes towards this full moon that's going to happen in Leo. And Jupiter's in Leo, Mercury's in Aquarius, opposing it. So it's the battle of Aquarius and Leo. It's the battle of Jupiter and Mercury. This makes for things more weird. So we've got this Sun and Mercury in Aquarius, which is all about looking at things differently, connecting with the community, you know, going out there and connecting all the dots, flying around in spaceships, talking to aliens, doing weird things, having weird epiphanies. Leo is very different. Leo is all about being in the kingdom, your own happiness. Now, it's about spreading love, but you can't do it until you love yourself first. So there's a deep reminder of Jupiter and the moon as we come into the beginning of this week in February. The first week of February is, do you even want it? Do you even truly love it? Before you're spending all of your energy and electricity on, you know, turning on all these electrical devices in your life that you're not even using or that you don't even want to use, why plug in the blender if you don't even like the blend? The problem with Aquarius is it tends to serve everybody. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, there's 50 people here, I got to serve all 50 people. Leo is like, ah man, you know what, let's make sure I serve myself first, and I'm jolly, and I'm happy, and I'm good. So I can make sure I really know, you know, if I connect with this energy right or not. I'm not going to go serve everything that I don't want. I think that makes it a very weird paradox. You know, it also tests true beliefs if you truly are happy with what you're connecting with in your life. And it all kind of comes up to right now. And with the Venus square Saturn aspect, and then Venus comes onto Neptune, you know, this makes it all more confusing, to be honest with you. And it makes it very kind of mystical. It makes it very story-like. We also got the Sun trining the node for this, the North Node, and sextiling the South Node with Mercury. That has also sextiled this. So there's a lot around this, you know, total reinvention of self that's not easy. And this is a weird time. This is a very powerful week. This is definitely not a simple week. I think that there's, you know, the experience of what you really love and what you don't want. What you want to let go and disconnect extremely. And then the whole play of like, you know, we all have issues that we have. We all have failures. We all have, you know, parts of ourselves that seem to not be able to like let go or go with the flow. And you have to see that this is a week that's going to highlight where you're weak, or that you might fear that you can't handle it, you know? I think that that's going to be another part of it. So there's a lot to look at when it comes to whether or not you're going to make it through or push through or take things forward in your life without tripping out. Trust me, Mars on Chiron feels like I don't have strength or I need a Viagra to have sex. And I know I'm using such an extreme analogy, but Mars, when it runs into Chiron, which I call Chiron the Hunchback of Notre Dame, because he's not like any other planet. He's on his own weird orbit. He doesn't look like anybody, but he is part of the family. So when Mars comes there, already in Pisces, where it's not doing the best, your masculine drive, your ability to push forward, your ability to win, is at an extreme hard spot. With the Mercury retrograde already questioning things, this is where you bail out when you don't think you should, when you really maybe shouldn't bail out. You know what you love deep down inside. It just might be hard to get the full juice out of it right now. And that full moon reminds us of what we already have juice within, but we might be low on our tanks. You know? Or you realize that you don't want it this week. So this is a powerful week of big decisions of whether or not this is doorways you want to walk through, whether or not you love what you want, if this is the adventure you want in your life. So this is some very deep, powerful stuff. And it's the battle between what you think is right and what you truly believe. It's the battle of what do you really love about yourself, and you know, what's the best thing for everybody else too. It's a very big, hard battle. And I don't think this is the time to make a decision. I think that this is reminders and reminding yourself that there's a million doorways in front of you and that you've got those 2 or 3 doorways pointed out as your top 3, but you don't have to pick them. And you got to remind yourself with Saturn and Sagittarius to always remind yourself that there's a million doors that are open as well. And I think that this is going to be a powerful time for you to remember that. And of course I go through this all through the daily horoscope and on the apps, and I also do my text message notifications. So if you want to get access to that, you can download the apps on Apple or Android called the Leo King, or you can go to my website, leoking.lookstack.com, and stream all the content. So, but you know, this is definitely a weird time, a weird energy, and I would just allow yourself as much compassion as you can, because the true part of this is compassion. The true part of this is losing yourself in the fantasy and that this can be fun. And I think as the full moon comes, you're going to see the fun. But building up to the weekend and into the weekend, it might be a little weird and harsh. But coming into the beginning of February, I think that there's a reminder of love. There's a reminder of what you want. But it's not so much that you need to run and go for it. Although Mars does come off Chiron and it's ready to go, I think you're going to see things speed up again and juice up again after we get through this hump. Thanks so much for all of your guys' support. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on the next Uncut.